Hello, everybody. My name is Yaman, and I provide daily updates on Tesla, markets, and technology. Let's get started right away. Markets are pretty much flat, except for Nasdaq is down 1%, S&P 500 down slightly, Russell 2000 down 0.6%. You can see again, Mag 7 companies are leading everybody down. Microsoft down 1%, Nvidia down 1%, Apple down 2%, Tesla is down 2.5%. Google and Meta down both 1%. Financials are up today. Consumer defensive stocks are up. Healthcare is a pretty defensive type of day, and oil is pretty muted as well. If you scroll down, crude oil is at $63, up $1, and the treasury yield is down about 1, 2, 3 basis points, depending on what part of the curve. Tech stocks pressure Wall Street as caution sets in ahead of Fed meeting. As the event of the week on Friday. Wall Street's main indices declined on Wednesday, and the Nasdaq hit a two-week low as a rally in technology stocks cooled and caution prevailed ahead of Federal Reserve's highly anticipated Jackson Hole Symposium later this week. After driving much of the market's recovery from the April sell-off, tech stocks are pulling back as investors reassess high valuations in the sector. The S&P 500 Technology Index slid 1.7% on the day. Deepening concerns of government interference with companies, sources said the Trump administration was looking into taking equity stakes in chip companies such as Intel in exchange for grants under the CHIPS Act, just weeks after unprecedented revenue-sharing deals with NVIDIA and AMD. NVIDIA slid 2.8% and AMD lost 3%, while Intel and Micron fell about 6% each. NVIDIA's quarterly results on August 27 are keenly awaited for clues on demand for AI. Other mega-cap growth names, such as Apple and Meta, also came under pressure, falling 1.4% and 2.3% respectively. To see a little pullback here after a big move up is perfect, normal, and healthy, said Adam Sharhan, chief executive of 50 Park Investments in New York. Quote, if the selling gets worse, then you'll have a rotation out of tech and into undervalued areas of the market like biotech or healthcare stocks or small cap stocks. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq marked their worst session in over 2 weeks on Tuesday following a similar tech sell-off. Minutes from the Fed's July meeting, where interest rates were left unchanged, are expected at 2 p.m. Eastern. It could set the tone before the central bank's annual conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, between August 21 and 23. Chair Jerome Powell is expected to speak on Friday, and his remarks will be scrutinized for insight on monetary policy, even as investors price in a 25 basis point interest rate cut in September, according to data compiled by LSEG. Remarks from Governor Christopher Waller and Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic are expected later in the day. Investors also monitor allegations that Fed Governor Lisa Cook was involved in mortgage fraud. Earnings from big retailers, seen as a barometer for the health of the American consumer, are also in the spotlight this week, as sentiment has taken a hit from concerns that tariffs could drive prices higher. Target plunged 8% after the company named a new CEO and retained its annual forecasts that were lowered in May due to weak demand for the discretionary merchandise it sells. Cosmetics giant Estee Lauder fell 2.5% after tariff-related headwinds weighed on its annual profit forecast. On the trade front, the Commerce Department slapped 50% import levies on more than 400 derivative steel and aluminum products. Let's move on to Tesla news. Tesla's 6-seat Model Y variant may not be launched in US. Tesla CEO Elon Musk said the company's new 6-seat Model Y variant, launched in China this week, might never enter production in the United States, citing the rise of self-driving vehicles. The Model Y L, built at Tesla's Shanghai factory, features a longer wheelbase and 3 rows of seats, and is priced at around $47,200. It went on sale in China on Tuesday, where Tesla faces mounting competition from domestic EV makers such as BYD and Xiaomi. This variant of the Model Y doesn't start production in the US until the end of next year, Musk said in a response to a post from X user. Might not ever, given the advent of self-driving in America. Musk did not elaborate on how the rise of autonomous driving would negate the need for a six-seater vehicle. Tesla did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Gas powered SUVs with three rows have long been popular among American families. However, making profitable three row EVs is still a challenging business for automakers. Recent policy changes by the Trump administration are also set to make electric vehicles more expensive, prompting automakers to focus on smaller, cheaper variants. Tesla is also preparing to launch a cheaper Model Y variant just with fewer premium features later this year, which Musk has described as just a Model Y. Tesla has increasingly shifted focus in the US to its robotaxi ambitions. The company launched a limited robotaxi service in Austin in June and aims to scale operations to half of US population by the end of this year. Musk told investors last year that building traditional vehicles would be pointless in a self-driving future. Next year, Tesla is set to start production of the Cybercab, a dedicated two-seater robotaxi model without a steering wheel and pedals. That's a favorable article from Reuters. They could have taken this many directions. Tesla Model Y L six-seater hits stores across China. Local auto media finds its third-row experience abysmal. Tesla today announced that its new Model Y L, a six-seat variant of the popular SUV, is now fully available in showrooms across China, with stores opening for consultations and viewings. The highly anticipated model, which officially launched yesterday, is priced from $47,000 and $120 and is expected to begin deliveries in September 2025. The Model Y L aims to capture a segment of the China's booming family SUV market, offering a 2 plus 2 plus 2 six-seat configuration, all-wheel drive, and continuously variable damping shock absorbers. It boasts a CLTC range of 751 kilometers and that can accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.5 seconds. The launch comes amidst a heated domestic SUV market with pure electric rivals like Envoy L90 and Li Auto i8. EV Insights, a local automotive media outlet, visited a Tesla store in Tuanhan Plaza. Sales personnel confirmed that initial deliveries are slated for September, but test drive vehicles are not yet available. They advise customers not to rush into test drives before placing an order. And here's the picture. And here's another picture of the new Model Y L. For EV Insights, a key focus was the Model Y L's third row seating. While the second row features two independent seats with heating and ventilation, new speakers, and unique electric pop-up armrests, which can fully retract but have fixed height and a potential for pinching. The third row presented a more complex picture. The Model Y L's wheelbase is 150 millimeters longer and its height 44 millimeters greater than the standard Model Y, and the second row seats can slide, improving overall cabin flexibility and space. However, entering the third row, EV Insights noted a central hump approximately 100 millimeters high, which could be an obstacle. For a 170 centimeter tall individual, the third row offered adequate legroom. I think 170 is, let's see, it's like 5'8", I'm guessing, 5'7" maybe. With about a fist's distance to the second row and space to extend one leg into the central aisle. However, the third row seats were described as small benches with EV Insights with thighs largely unsupported, making them suitable for only emergency room use. Due to the Model Y L's continued coupe SUV design, headroom was severely limited with only just over a fist distance between the head and the rear window for a 170 centimeter person. This raised concerns about head contact during bumpy rides. So for most of the American population, which tend to be a little taller, this car is not going to be popular anyway, I don't think. Model Y already had a thorough option and it just wasn't popular. Furthermore, the large rear window, and we're going to move on here on this. The cramped third row space Model Y L comes as no surprise. As we previously reported, it's the smallest among its competitors. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can see the difference here. It's actually really high. So the other vehicles are longer, higher, and wider. Yeah, not a starter, I think. Okay, we're gonna read the summary on this one only. Hertz Car Sales launches on Amazon Autos. Hertz Car Sales has partnered with Amazon Autos to offer thousands of pre-owned vehicles for online purchase. Customers can now browse, finance, and buy Hertz certified vehicles with a 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and a 7-day, 250-mile buyback guarantee. The partnership aims to provide a seamless online car buying experience initially in select cities with plans for nationwide expansion. Sony hikes PlayStation 5 prices in the US as tariff uncertainty weighs. Sony will raise prices of its PlayStation 5 consoles in the US by around $50 from Thursday, as the Japanese conglomerate navigates a slow recovery in the video game market while US tariffs threaten to raise costs. All three PlayStation 5 consoles will see a similar price hike, with the most expensive PS5 Pro version expected to cost $750, the company said in a blog post on Wednesday. The price changes come after US President Trump announced a sweeping tariffs on imports from global manufacturing hubs such as China and Japan, leading to fears of supply chain disruptions and high material costs. Couple of Google news. Google unveils latest Pixel phones, including foldable Pixel 10 Pro Fold. Google announced its latest line of Pixel smartphones on Wednesday as part of its Made by Google event in New York City on Wednesday. The Pixel 10 lineup includes 4 phones. The company also showed off its new smartwatch, the Pixel Watch 4. The devices get Google's latest Gemini AI capabilities, including the company's new Magic Q for its smartphones and enhanced smart replies for the watch. Starting at $799, the entry-level Pixel 10 now comes with 3 rear cameras, up from 2. That includes a 5x telephoto camera. Inside the 6.3-inch phone gets Google's latest Tensor G5 processor, 12 gig RAM, and upwards of 256 gigabytes of storage. Pixel 10 Pro starts at $999 and gets a sharper 6.3-inch display and more advanced triple camera setup. And while the phone packs the same Tensor G5 processor as the standard Pixel 10, the Pro sports 16 gigs of RAM rather than the 12 and offers up to 512 gigs of storage. Let me see if there's anything. All 3 phones promise more than 30 hours of battery life. Next phone I get, I'll probably take a look at other options than the iPhone. The Pixel 10 Pro Fold costs $1,800, while the Z Fold 7 is $2,000. Google's new Magic Q software can recognize the context of your conversations in Google's texting app or understand when you're looking up the weather for an upcoming trip and provide helpful data from other apps. All right, we have an article on Google AI, so let's go into that one. Google's latest smartphone AI is leaving Apple in the dust. This article is by Daniel Howley. Google rolled out 4 new smartphones and its latest smartwatch. Okay, we read that. Upgraded cameras, camera performance upgrades, camera improvements. We already read that. Yet Google has been outfitting its Pixel phones with generative AI since Pixel 7. But Apple, flailing as it tries to gain traction in the AI race and its next generation Siri, not expected until 2026. The search giant is pushing its Gemini AI as the marquee feature for the latest iteration of its smartphone line. Google isn't just hyping Gemini in its smartphones, though. The company is also bringing the technology to its Pixel Watch. Of course, Google's latest Pixel lineup is far from an existential threat to Apple's iPhone. According to research firm Canalys, Apple's iPhone made up 49% of US smartphone shipments in Q2. Samsung, 31%, Motorola, 12%, Google, just 3%. But Google's AI capabilities should eventually find their way into Samsung phones, since Samsung runs on Google's Android platform and the two collaborate on Samsung's own smartphone AI. Google's most impressive and seemingly useful offering as part of the new phone lineup is what the company calls Magic Q. The feature surfaces information from different Google apps as users need them. Say your friends text you to ask when your dinner reservations are. Magic Queue will pull up the information from your Gmail and serve it up in a suggested reply. If you call your airline to ask about your upcoming flight, Magic Queue will display your travel information on screen so that you don't have to search through different apps to locate it. The weather app can tell you personalized weather updates based on what Magic Q sees in your calendar as well. If you save an upcoming trip to Yellowstone in your calendar app and check the weather app, it will tell you if it will rain during your trip and provide tips like how to keep your electronics dry and more. Google says Magic Q won't send information to the cloud and that data is saved in a secure enclave in your Pixel phone. Apps also don't see the data Magic Q pulls in unless you allow them to. Google has also added AI powered real time voice translation for phone calls, something that's also coming to Apple's iOS 26 this fall. That's incredible, actually. As someone whose family is still abroad, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Okay. Let's move on to our final article. Ellery Powell is walking a tightrope at Jackson Hole. Jerome Powell will step into the spotlight this Friday as Jackson Hole gathering of central bankers under unusually challenging circumstances, delivering what is widely expected to be his final address as Federal Reserve Chair. His best approach would be to focus on broad strategic issues, drawing lessons from his tumultuous tenure and setting the stage for Fed's periodic review of its monetary policy framework. However, such an approach would go against his usual preference for a tactical, data dependent stance that today risks worsening the challenges facing both himself and the institution he leads. These challenges are significant and complex. For 4 years, inflation has persistently surpassed the Fed's 2% target, and recent data suggests it might now be rising further. At the same time, growing evidence indicates a weakening labor market, directly undermining the second pillar of the Fed's dual mandate. Beyond these economic signs, Powell and Fed face increasing political pressure that risks undermining the vital policy independence of the world's most powerful central bank. Adding to these issues, his communication style has often been seen as both confused and confusing. Really? There's nothing confusing about it. Which has amplified market volatility rather than contain. Who the fuck wrote this? Oh my gosh. We're just gonna skip this one. This guy, I think, ran or he wanted the position that Powell has, and he's just not a Powell fan. All right. On that note, thank you very much, everybody, and I will chat with you all next time. Take care.